You're listening to the Geekscape Network.
Time to fire up the VCR. This one's my favorite. That was gold.
Welcome to Analog Jones and the Tempo Film. I'm Steve.
And I'm Matt.
And we're a VHS podcast that looks at the box art, trailers, and behind the scenes. And we're in week 2 of my animation month. And we did The Secret of NIMH.
Aurora and Don Bluth Productions present a classic adventure in motion picture entertainment. I must tell you about NIMH. Look there. It's a fantasy with wizards and villains. And heroes.
I ain't scared of nothing. I'm not even afraid of the Great Owl. Will you hush up? Come on.
It's an odyssey to another world. A world of fantasy and enchantment.
To what you see and hear, you must swear absolute secrecy.
It's the most beautiful sight I've ever seen.
Do you like me?
Of course I like you.
It's a story of friendship.
I mean, you don't think I'm clumsy or anything. What? I just need a few pointers to polish my style. I told you you'd love flying.
I don't know how I let you talk me into this.
It's a classic story of courage.
Why have you come?
And a world of danger.
Well, Matt, this is the first time you watched it, right?
Since I was a little kid, yeah. I haven't seen this in 25 years, probably.
Did you remember any of it?
I guess just sort of the look of the movie, and I guess I sort of remember the characters, but like the plot, no, I don't remember any of it.
Yeah, this was one that when I looked at the box art as a kid, I kind of didn't want to rent it.
Oh, yeah. No, this was not my wheelhouse. This was not my kind of stuff that I was picking up. This was not where my area of interest was.
No, I don't remember why I ended up seeing this as a kid. Probably in the late 80s when I was around 8 or something. But then I really liked it because it fascinated me.
I think, yeah, I just ended up seeing it when I sort of exhausted all the ones that I was like, well, I've never seen this one, so I guess I'll see this one. I exhausted sort of all the ones that hit all the boxes for me, because this was not one that I would have ran to pick up right away. But I know I had seen it at some point.
It's an expensive animation for a first-time Bluth Pictures, or whatever they were called, when they did this. This is a $7 million animation.
Wow. That's a pretty big movie.
Yeah, this was the angry animators that left Disney. This was them doing everything that they always wanted to do while at Disney. Like the lights behind the Great Owl or the Old Owl, whatever it was. I think it was the Great Owl, where like the lights shine through his eyes. That's awesome. But that was incredibly difficult to do and expensive, time consuming.
This does feel like, though, like an anti-Disney sort of, coming together of creatives to do something very much different from what else was coming out around that same time.
Yes, and it's mouse rat kind of like, so it was kind of like, hey, Disney, we can do our own mouse movie too.
Right, and then it's this, which is kind of a crazy thing.
Yeah, it feels like it was too dark to ever be a Disney film.
Yeah.
But then I remember, like, the Great Mouse Detectives, that was mid-80s. It was a couple years after this, Disney did.
Yeah.
I remember that one being really dark, and I remember really liking Evil Mouse in that. It wasn't Moriarty. It was whatever. I don't know the mouse's name from that. I can't remember. But it was like it was an evil rat or something.
God, I fucking loved Great Mouse Detective growing up. That one was one I exhausted. That one I watched all the time. That's one of my favorite Disney movies for sure. Disney animated movies.
I don't know if this would play well with kids now.
Yeah, I don't think they would hold their attention.
No,
honestly, I just don't think they care. They'd care about this.
No, it's slow. It really takes some time to put together the story.
Mm.
But it is one of those like going down the rabbit hole movies. You had no idea this world was beneath you, but it is.
Right.
And then you keep traveling down and it gets bigger and bigger.
Exploring a world type thing. Yeah.
Alice in Wonderland.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Absolutely it is.
It's based off a book, a child's novel. Have you ever heard of Mrs. Frisby and the Rats of NIMH?
No.
Well, that's what this is based off of. And did you notice her name was Mrs. Brisby in the film?
Yeah.
And not
Frisby. So what?
Frisby.
Why is that?
Because of the Frisbee.
Oh, they wouldn't let that fly?
They were afraid that they'd get sued.
Oh, okay.
And they just wanted to avoid that. So they're like, close enough.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, that works.
Yeah. That's it. Pretty simple. They just didn't want to go to court just in case something happened.
Okay.
So,
nice.
That's it. So explain the box art if you were going to pick this up in a rental store.
So we're taking a look at this. This is MGM Cartoon Movie Stars. There's a little banner on the top here. And then we have like the, I guess, very 80s image of like, you've got the rats kind of going around this wreath that surrounds the title, Secret of NIMH. We see various versions of, I think only 2 different versions of our lead and then the crow. So they see them on top of the title, and then we see them kind of in the foreground. We see the other like mice pointing and laughing at the crow because he's kind of our comedic relief in the movie. We see the old wise wizard or owl wizard. We were just talking about wizards. The old wise owl that's that tells sort of is our exposition for the movie in the foreground as well, with just like this trees, forest, light kind of background. This looks a little gentle for me. I think that's why I'm passing it up. I feel like in my 8-year-old brain, I'm like, this is for little kids when I see this cover.
That's exactly probably what I thought as a kid. That's probably why my grandma rented it or bought it for me.
Is this that?
No, this was, I believe this is, let me look up. Because there was a number of Secret of NIMH. You had the original one, but I don't think the original came out, VHS came out until years after this. I think like the first one was an 86 release.
And you've got, this one's an 88 release here. So
yeah, this is 88. So I think this was the one that came out. We are looking up the VHScollector.com. Thank you, everyone, for archiving. See, yeah, there's only 2 that I know of. The one you're holding, which is the 90 release. Oh, wait, did you say yours? It said...
Well, it says on this box here 88, but it's the exact same cover, so I wonder just 88, 90, this is the same one that just came out. It says 88 on here, though.
Yeah, because it says 90 on VHS Collector, but maybe they got it wrong. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm thinking this is the one, and then this must be the first one.
This is the first one. This one's hard to find. I have never seen this in the wild.
Yeah, I remember these MGM book boxes, though, because I
Yeah.
have a Pope of Greenwich Village in a book box like this. MGM had all their titles come out in these weird boxes that opened up and had like more information on the film when you opened up the thing. Yeah.
That was probably way too expensive for them to keep
printing. Like, just put a slipcase on it. Fuck it. Like we don't need it to stand out on the shelves that much.
I believe the mid 80s had a lot more interesting boxes.
Yeah.
The early 80s, mid 80s, because it was part of like when you had to rent things from like clubs, movie clubs and stuff like that.
Yeah, this is in the beginning of video stores, the very beginning. So, like, you had to stand out. You had to have a big box, or you had to have some sort of, like, way to stand out. Like, a weird shape of your box, something like that.
They were massive.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. It was a pretty fun time for movie buying. Before the slipcase, easy access, easy collectors stuff started. For the home video market. But for the rental and early tape market, big box.
And then you had the clamshells, the plastic, so much plastic.
So much plastic. Plastic around plastic.
Yeah.
But this 88 release, this is what we've got on the back here. Purely delicious. A perfect treat for the entire family from Rex Reed. And then Secret of NIMH. We got a couple images of the characters kind of around the block, the description block here, and this is what it's about. If you don't know what the Secret of NIMH is about, heartwarming, enchanting, and beautifully crafted, this magical cartoon fantasy marks a new era for animation. Gorgeous to look at, raves Time magazine. It'll delight kids everywhere from Newsweek. An extravaganza of dazzling animation, The Secret of NIMH is based on Robert O'Brien's award-winning tale of a timid mouse who becomes a heroine in spite of herself. Trying to save her house from Farmer Fitzgibbon's plow, Miss Brisby, the mother mouse, gets help from a wonderfully klutzy crow, a wise owl, and highly intelligent rats. You'll marvel at the impressive abode of the great owl and the Oz-like kingdom of the mysterious rats. And you'll be mesmerized by Nicodemus, the dignified leader of the rats, and the climactic showdown between two swashbuckling ratversaries. The fun, the fun drama and suspense are brought to life by the voices of Don DeLuise, John Carradine, Derek Jacobi, Hermione Baddeley, and Elizabeth Hartman. Oscar winner Jerry Goldsmith's music beautifully underscores every mood. The Secret of NIMH is sheer delight. Share it with someone you love.
My man, Don DeLuise! I forgot he was a voice in this when I watched this movie, because it had been years since I've watched this. As soon as he came on as Jeremy the Crow, I was like, yes!
That probably was the thing that attracted me to this movie as a kid. I probably heard him while this was on TV or something one day, and then I left it on, because, like, we've talked about it before. Dom DeLuise is funny, man. And for kids, he's just like catnip, man.
I watched an entire movie that you gave me about him just cooking, and it was fantastic.
Yes. So he's a super watchable and magnetic guy. So that's probably the reason that got me drawn into this one as a kid, or why I had seen it at least the one time that I have.
Still, one of these days, I'm going to find Going Bananas, the canon gorilla film.
We'll find it. We'll bump into it someday.
Because he's in it. I think is he in that? I remember it's also the kid from Over the Top.
Nice.
Whatever that kid's name is, I forgot it. But anyway, more about how great Dom DeLuise is. Yeah, I just, even the description on the back, it just feels safe.
Yeah, I still even think if I read the back, I don't know if I'd pick this up. Now, if I knew they were lab rats being experimented on and they grew super hyper intelligence, then I might be like, hold on, what's this one about? Then I might be a little more interested as a kid. But the sort of safe quest thing that they've presenting on the back here is not going to be of interest to me at all, probably.
It's pretty dark when, we'll pop this tape in. Well, let's do it. Let's pop the tape in.
And now, our feature presentation.
No trailers.
No trailers, we just get right into the movie.
Yeah, so let's just talk about it. I mean, rats get experimented on and then get super intelligence. They're like mutants.
Yes. We talked about Dom DeLuise. We talk about the experimentation. Those are the only two things I like in this movie.
I could see that, because the rest of it's kind of fantasy realm.
This is totally we talked about it in the last episode. I didn't really like fantasy stuff from this time. I just didn't like any of it, and I don't know why. It just never clicked with me. I think it's too boring for me. It's not what I'm into. I just don't like fantasy stuff. But this movie, it reminds me mostly of a Dark Crystal, where it's a quest movie, but everything's quiet. Everything's real gentle. Everything's real ethereal, and I'm just I need a little bit of life. Give me a little something.
I think that's something that Don Bluth production company struggled with.
Yeah, and I like the American Tail movies, and we talked about 5-0 before, but this kind of stuff early on, yeah, it feels very Dark Crystal-y, and it's just I didn't grow up with this, I didn't grow up with Dark Crystal, I didn't grow up with Secret of NIMH. I understand why it has the fans it does with the people that grew up with it, but as somebody who didn't necessarily grow up with this, didn't grow up with Dark Crystal, didn't grow up with fantasy stuff like this, doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah, I wonder if they stuck in Dom DeLuise's character Jeremy, who feels like he's in a different movie, for the sheer fact that this movie needs life.
Yeah, it's very still. It's very quiet. Even when there's threats, it's still all on the same level. Whether it's a threat or a calm scene, everything kind of plays out at the same beat.
Now, this was really about a bunch of animators who were really, really good at their craft, pushing the limits of what they could do, and then just basing it off a book, but you kind of needed someone to freshen up the script a little bit, add a little bit more life, get some layers of personality. I feel like one of the most forgettable characters is Justin, the hero rat, the captain of the guard, who I just forget about.
Yeah, no, he's not interesting. I mean, obviously...
He's boring as shit.
Miss Brisby is your lead, and Jeremy the Crow, like, those are your two. Everybody else, very forgettable in this for me.
Yeah.
Like,
Mine was, 3 characters. Miss Frisby's interesting because she's, kind of like, I've, got to be courageous in the world that I'm terrified of.
Yeah.
But she's doing it because, for all the right reasons.
Yeah, she's got to save her kid, basically.
And then Jeremy's just, Jeremy the Crow is just funny. Don DeLuise, watch him all day. And then you had the Great Owl, which is actually just, an exposition drop.
Yeah, exactly.
There is a way. Go to the rats.
But I don't know any rats.
In the rose bush.
Oh, yes. Near the farmhouse.
Go there. Ask for Nicodemus.
Nicodemus? But how can they help?
They must move your house to the lee of the stone.
No rat could move my house.
They have ways.
I don't understand, but I will do as you say.
It is night. I must go.
So I don't know. This is textbook not my kind of movie. And like also too when it's like all this one tone and like all this sort of very gentle whatever when I'm watching it, it makes me anxious. Like I feel like I get anxious watching it. I'm like, it's all one tone. It's 90 minutes, or in this case, 84 minutes of one tone, and it like freaks me out. I need the.
Yeah, you need the up and down. You especially, because you're attracted to the nonsense.
Yeah.
So this movie is no nonsense.
Yeah, it's just straight all the way down, and I'm just like, nope, not for me.
Yeah. So this is probably a struggle for you to watch.
It was, because I was anxious the whole time, and I kept being intermittently either bored or just not interested. Like, this is not my kind of movie.
There's your key word. This movie drags and it gets boring at points. There's too many boring points.
In an 84-minute movie, this movie felt like it was 3 hours long for me watching it. And I can't like outwardly say that I hate this movie because I appreciate the animation style. I appreciate the fact that it's a little button pushing for kids too. It's a little edgier than like say maybe something Disney would have put out at the time. I like all those things about it. I like some of the characters like Brisby and the Crow, but like I don't like it. Like I don't like it, and it felt long, and it felt like it dragged for me. Like it felt like a chore to watch.
Yeah, I don't know when the book came out, but to me this feels just like something that you used to read your kids to go to bed, where it's like kind of like it's a little scary. Like you want kids to deal with the emotion of fear. You don't want to hide it from them. It's a real thing. But you're reading it to them, and it's kind of just, going on its little adventure. Maybe the book's a little bit better, but I feel like, yeah, I could fall asleep to this a couple nights, and then before you know, about 4 nights in, like, oh, we finished the book.
Yeah, I honestly should have watched this movie, like, at the end of the night, but I actually watched this at, like, the beginning of a day, and I think it made me stressed out all day long. Because I was anxious of how it was so one-toned.
That's hilarious. I love that I could make you anxious watching this movie. But let's get into the characters here. We already talked about Miss Frisby. Brisby. But Nicodemus, that was one. Every time he was so slow with his talking.
Yeah, another thing that probably stressed me out was like, just say it. Just say what you need to say.
Just give her the amulet. Let's get on with this. But he was cool looking. The concept art in a lot of this movie is fantastic. And you can really tell it's done by some seriously good pros.
Yeah, like it was Nicodemus that had like the sword thing, right? So every time like he turned it, it would like shine, and the animation of what. It looked cool. But Nicodemus was kind of like a MacGuffin, where it was kind of a throwaway. You thought that he was going to be the whole quest, and you kind of get the amulet, and that's kind of it.
Yeah, and then when they kill him, you're just like, oh, well, he's dead.
Yeah, he feels more important at the beginning than he actually ends up being.
Yeah, the Great Owl could not, like, when I was watching this, I go, whose voice is that? I just kept staring, and I didn't want to get on my phone. I was just like, who is that? And I thought about it. I think I missed parts of this movie, because I was like, who is that? I heard that old man's voice. It's David Carradine.
John Carradine.
I mean, John Carradine.
Yeah, Papa Carradine. Top Carradine.
Wrong Carradine. But yeah, I like his voice for these animations. He's got something that's creepy, but kind of just mesmerizing. Like I could listen to the owl drop exposition. There's no problem, but halfway through the owl, I'm like, okay, so you're just telling the whole story.
Yeah, and that's basically what he does. He like catches us up to what we've been seeing.
Yeah.
Because I was a little lost too, where I was like, okay, I think I know what's going on here, but like there's a lot at once you're throwing at me, and he sort of straightened it out for me a little bit, but like too little, too late for me at that point. Like I was already pretty checked out by the time the owl does his big exposition dump 2/3 into the movie.
Yeah, and we find out that Jonathan, which is Mrs. Frisby's, well, she's a widower,
yeah.
And Jonathan was her husband. He died from dragging the cat. Thank you for the honk. If you guys heard that. Dragging the cat killed Jonathan.
Yes.
But you don't know why at the beginning, and then later you find out it's because only a mouse can fit through the hole to drug Dragging the cat so the rats can leave the rose bush and get out and get their own technology and electricity.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're stealing electricity from the Fitzgibbons farm.
Yep.
Is it Fitzgibbons?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the whole thing that like gets this whole movie going is Miss Frisby, whatever, has 4 kids, and one of them's sick, Timmy, who gets like what was it, pneumonia?
Something like that.
Yeah. And Mr. Ages, which is a friend of Jonathan, and like the doctor / chemist / magician of the mouse community.
Mm-hmm.
So he gives her medicine for Timmy's pneumonia. But he's like, but you can't move him for 3 weeks or he'll die. But we have to go because the Fitzgibbons are going to plow the fields, which means I guess everyone leaves.
Yeah.
And then they come back, I guess, at some point. I don't know if they're like permanently leaving or if this is just like something they do every year. I don't know. Maybe they're going to hibernate for winter. I don't know. They don't really explain it. They just have to get the hell out of town.
Right, before they get plowed to death.
And so underneath them ends up, they're super intelligent rats who were experimented at NIMH. And I forgot, NIMH stands for, I'll get into it later, but I forgot what it was. But basically, Nicodemus also is an exposition drop because he explains that Jonathan saved the rats from the lab by like releasing them, and so he became respected from the rats. And I guess he lived an entire different life that he never told Mrs. Brisby about.
Yeah, that he was this big hero for the intelligent rat community.
Yeah.
He was the guy that got him out. Yeah.
So he lived a second life.
Yeah.
It's weird. I always find that, like, as an adult, I'm like, why wouldn't you tell her?
Want to leave his hero past behind.
Yeah, I don't know. I just found that really weird. And then so Jenner, the bad rat, the one which I was getting Professor Ratigan vibes from. That's the name of the Great Mouse Detective, which came out 4 years later.
And was much better of a movie.
Yeah, but still, neither of them are very liked. Or the Great Mouse Detective is during the dark period of Disney.
Yeah, like the Disney Dead era. Yeah. But I like that movie a whole lot.
I wonder if I have to rewatch it. I wonder if I liked it as a kid, but as an adult, I'd get the same thing from this, where it's a little like, eh.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't tried to watch that as an adult, but I loved that one as a kid. Yeah, man. Ooh, this one ruined my day. This one wrecked me for an entire 24 hours, though.
Yeah, the problem with Jenner, I mean, he had Sullivan, which is like his minion that like was mostly just following him around. He actually didn't want to be evil. He didn't want to kill Nicodemus. He just was kind of like following Jenner. So Sullivan, Jenner's just doing this for power. It's so boring what's motivating him. Like, oh, you just want to be the leader? And he doesn't want them to leave.
Well, and I still feel like, even though he's sort of like the villain, he's a less interesting villain than sort of like just having the threat of the cat and the farmers. You know, like I feel like that's the looming threat. This is so secondary that I just don't care.
Yeah, like the plow is what's getting this, makes the story move. But then they throw in Jenner and you're like, wait, so who's the enemy here? And at the end of the day, the farmers aren't even the enemies.
No, they're not the enemy, but like I like the fact that like that is what they have to survive. Throwing in another villain like this just seems like overkill. Like, I don't need it. I didn't need this. And like he's so not part of the first part of this movie.
No.
That like why? It just seems so tacked on.
It just seems like they're like, oh well, we have to have the quote unquote protagonist or the antagonist. You're like, yeah, but you already had the Plow, which was the antagonist.
Yeah.
Which, you know, like her and that Aunt Shrew or whatever the aunt's name is. I don't even remember because I don't care. I think it was Auntie Shrew, you know, the loudmouth one. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I just, you know, they shut down the Plow, which gives them a little bit of time to buy for Timmy because she has to go down in the rose bush to get the rats to move her cinder block home. Mm-hmm. And then Nicodemus gives her an amulet that basically gives whoever's wearing it, if they have courage or show courage, it gives them powers. It
gives them like, you know, mom strength, like they talk about when they flip a car with a baby in it or whatever, like that kind of thing. Like that's what it is.
Yeah, it's
because she like lifts the house like at the end.
The whole magic thing is weird because you have like rats getting experiments, so you have a lot of science and technology in this. But then you also mix this magic, and I don't... Like, with wizards, I got it. Magic, you know, like, Ralph Bakski's like, yeah, you know, too much science kind of takes the soul and magic away from the world. So I got his whole thing with wizards. Like, with this one, I'm like, wait, what? Why can't we just have science?
Yeah, and sort of like... I watched these back to back during the day. I watched Wizards and then this just immediately, like a double feature right after each other. And yeah, it made me like this one it's doing science and magic, but like I don't buy it in this world at all. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's I just came off of something where it makes sense, and then like jumping into here, I'm just like I don't buy it. I immediately see through it, and I'm like, nope, I don't buy it.
I kind of forgot about. I mean, other than the amulet being around Miss Brisby's neck the entire time was way too big for her. And then before you know it, at the end, you're like, oh, now she's going to use the magic. I was kind of like, oh, I don't care.
Yeah. No, like by the end, like when she's doing her triumphant lifting of the house thing, I'm just like,
Part of me just it'd have been funnier if the rats would have went down and Miss Brisby and like, what was his name? By the way, there's too many damn J's in this movie. Jeremy the Crow, Justin the Hero Rat, and Jenner the Bad Rat. Stop with the J's. Because I have a hard time remembering all of them. I think it would have been better if the rats would have saved them and her house would have sunk. But the rats would have been like, to pay you back, we'll rebuild, we'll make you a house. Because they're super intelligent rats.
Right.
If they would have like built her a house that was, protecting her. I don't know, something like that. I think that would have been much better than her like, oh, now I have magic powers to lift the cinder block home and move it. If you're going to do magic, like have Nicodemus cure... Well, I guess Nicodemus dies. Someone have magic that cures Timmy of his pneumonia. Like if you're going to do that instead of giving him medicine.
Yeah, I don't know. It's more that like thing that I talk about never liking in movies when it's so like a half measure where it's like, oh, and it's such an afterthought thing. It's like, oh, and there's magic here. And it's like, but it's like either give me all of the magic or like... Don't just give me one scene of the magic. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, it's too much of a half measure for me to care.
So talking about the whole NIMH, because a lot of people get confused. What does that even stand for? National Institute of Mental Health? I just, like, to me, I was trying to figure out, I go, what, are we saying something here? I guess, like, don't experiment on animals?
Yeah, oh yeah, this is absolutely, like, the fallout of experimenting on animals and, science... being pushed too far, all that stuff. Like, it's those tropes.
Yeah, like, I kind of just get tired of science is bad trope.
Yeah. Yeah, and here, it's one of the more exciting parts of the movie, but again, it's in one part of the exposition when we see sort of he's telling the story and we see the escape of Jonathan and the other rats, and then that's it. Then we drop the science and the experimentation stuff. But it is a highlight, but it's not enough.
Yeah. I felt really bad at the climax of this movie because, like, so they're moving her house with, like, ropes and pulleys, and then Jenner sabotages it and kills Nicodemus, and then Justin comes and gets into a fight with Jenner, and Jenner stabs his friend, his friend ends up, Sullivan actually kills Jenner at the end to, like, I don't know, like just his character kind of like helped save the day, even though he was part of the whole plan of, killing Nicodemus. But he's just like, I don't want to be like this. But they both die, Jenner and Sullivan.
Yeah.
So bad guy's dead. Bye.
Yep. End of the story.
And then they lift the house, or she lifts the house with the amulet, and because there was like a thunderstorm, so the house was sinking in the mud.
Yeah.
And at the end, when it was over, I was like, well, that's good. It's almost done. That's how I felt.
Yeah.
And I felt bad because, this animation's beautiful, but
it's like, thank God they're wrapping up this story.
and I felt bad. And I remember liking this movie a lot more, but I don't know if I fully recommend. I think only people who appreciate animation will want to watch this.
Yeah, and I would say if you didn't grow up with it like me, like it's too late now. To go back and revisit now. I don't think it's gonna, unless you grew up with stuff like this. I don't know. I don't recommend it for sure.
Yeah, I kind of get why Disney turned it down.
Yeah, it's just not. I could see the edginess of it, and I guess I appreciate that. But the story's just flat, man.
Well, and I do get Disney's excuse why. It's like, well, we already have a mouse in Mickey Mouse, and we just did The Rescuers, like, in the middle of the 70s. So,
Yeah.
I guess Don Bluth and his friends, they're kind of like, well, F you, we're going to leave and do our own thing. Which I'm glad they did, because, we got, The Land Before Time, which I think is, like, the peak Don Bluth movie.
Land Before Time, I like the American Tail movies. Yeah, that's it for me. Not my thing.
Yeah. I just think Ducky's awesome. But with this one, I was like, you needed someone to polish up the script before you went and did this, because you needed more life in this. But, it cost $7 million. It made $14 million, almost $15 million in the box office. And that's a good thing. It's a good thing, so we could get more non-Disney animations. And it's not so much I'm ripping on Disney here. It's just like Disney was the only ones coming out with stuff.
Well, yeah, it was a monopoly. It was a monopoly, and it's nice to see that monopoly broken up by other super talented people.
And it forced Disney to become better.
Yeah. So thank God.
Yeah. Because then, we got the Little Mermaid, Aladdin, the Lion King, and then the Lion King is like peak of the mountain, top of the mountain. Even though they stole it, I don't care. They did it better.
But they did steal it.
Yeah,
Let's be
completely.
Honest.
Completely.
Disney are thieves. But
hey, if you're gonna steal, do it like that.
But the Lion King is a banger of a movie, so
yeah. I mean, when you get Elton John to write the music, okay.
Yeah, it's a banger.
I love the day I found out that thing was stolen. I'm like, wow, you guys didn't give a shit. You just totally stole it.
That and Toy Story. Toy Story was super stolen too, but
but that wasn't Disney. It was Pixar.
Yeah, they did that.
But again, if you're gonna steal it, boom. What was Toy Story stolen from?
A TV movie. I think it was in the 80s. Aired, and it's very similar. A lot of similarities, like scenes similarities, not just plot similarities. So.
Yeah, well, yep.
They steal. That's what they do.
And they do it well. So the movies that came out at the same time for this, I just, one of the names caught my eyes. We can sit here and An Officer and a Gentleman, everyone's heard of that. That was the big movie in July 1982, 2 months after I was born. The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas is the one where I was like, what?
Yeah. Dolly Parton. That was a popular movie. That was a really popular movie when that came out.
I tell you what, there's 2 family movies in this month that really probably hurt this movie. We had Tron.
Yeah.
Which I don't know what it looks like. This was at the end of its run, probably. I think Tron came out in like June of 1982. I'm not for certain, but it looks like 7 of 9 there. Or is that the date it opened? Oh, no. It came out. Yeah, this was the July movie. I thought Tron would make more money than that.
Is that its total gross?
No, it's
overall,
not total.
or
It's
is
just this
July?
month. Yeah, still $33 million. I thought Tron was a huge movie.
Yeah, I don't know.
Young Doctors in Love. Don't know. The World According to Garp.
Never saw it.
I don't know what that is. A re-release. This is the other problem. A re-release of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
I mean, $21 million in that month. Not a ton, but still enough to steal from something like The Secret of NIMH.
Absolutely.
Night Shift. I think I've heard of that.
It's Michael Keaton, Henry Winkler comedy, Ron Howard movie. It's super funny.
Six Pack,
Zapped.
I don't know what these are.
Oh, Zapped is fun. Have you never seen Zapped?
Nope.
Oh man, we should talk about Zapped one day. Very problematic.
Oh, really? Problematic? What do you mean?
It's just an early 80s sex comedy, so of course it's problematic. But it's
one of those.
But I remember really enjoying it as a kid. I think it's Scott Baio.
Scott Baio?
Yeah, it has the power to like point and make things happen.
Oh, so women.
So a lot of people end up without clothes.
All right, well, it's not popping up. Forget it. We'll just have to look it up. Do you have the movie?
No.
Ah, yeah. I've never even heard of it, so even if I saw it, I wouldn't know.
Different time. It was a different time.
Definitely that. Oof.
I don't have much to talk about either. I sat and watched this whole thing, but I just didn't get anything out of it. Really just didn't get anything out of it here.
Nope, it just ends, and I was like, okay, let's move on to the museum.
This is the second time I've had to reclaim my property from you.
That belongs in a museum.
So do you.
This is the part of the show where we go out in the film jungle and grab something and put it in our museum, good or bad. That's what we do. We're like, Indy, I'm going to let you go first.
For me, this whole thing is kind of just a lump of coal. It's kind of a lost cause for me. Yeah, I think a lot of the problem does come from the script because the animation is so good and so nice to look at. So I would say, your biggest lump of coal here is like put some life, put some more ups and downs. You have threats in your script here, and you've got villains, and you're putting villains on top of already another antagonist of the movie. Either thin it out or figure it out, or you've got some magic in it but not a lot of magic, and so there's like a half measure there. It's like either consistency or like definitely peaks and valleys of something that your script is just lacking something that I can't grab onto here, thus making the entire watching experience not anything I can latch onto. So fix your script before you make a movie.
Yeah, I gotta agree with that. I think that's a good one. That's a good lump of coal. I'm going to go with something positive in this. I'm going to just put in Jeremy the Crow. It's my man, Dom DeLuise.
Well, not really. I mean, I haven't found Miss Right yet. But when I do, the whole world will hear us singing. Excuse me, pardon me.
Well, you keep making all that noise and Dragon will hear you, if he hasn't already.
Wouldn't you sing too? I mean, if you felt... if you felt the call of the wild, but...
I would not, if I knew there was a cat nearby.
But she's out there, somewhere. And when I find her, I'll feel it way down in my wishbone. What cat?
Dragon.
Kind of easy, safe pick for me anytime he's on screen. But, his character at the end when he finds one of his characteristics in this, he was looking for love. So he bumps into another crow, a female crow that is like, is kind of a klutz, just like him.
Yeah, it's like a inverse Dom DeLuise character. Like klutzy, goofy character,
I feel like you could have had a 20-minute cartoon, spin-off show where Jeremy's kind of the lead character. And I would watch it. But Brisby and them would be in it, the kids and everything, but they wouldn't be the main part of it.
Right. Everything's fine with them, and then you just see them, and you're like, all right, cool, everything's good. And then we follow his story.
They're like, hello, Jeremy, let me tell you about your day. Yeah, sorry, gotta go. I work for a delivery company now. Bye. I gotta go on my adventures.
But there was a sequel. We did get a sequel in 1998 to this movie.
Never seen.
Secret of NIMH 2, which had no involvement from any of the original people.
Nope.
But I've never seen it.
Neither have I.
I've never come across it. The cover looks familiar. I think I remember when it came out. I probably saw trailers for it on other stuff I was renting as a kid because I was 8 then, so that was definitely the market. But I don't think I ever saw that one.
I think in 2000 they came out with a DVD release of Secret of NIMH, and it was kind of like a big deal. They're like, "Oh, Secret of NIMH, the childhood classic is coming to DVD," and then that's when I kind of first saw like, wait, they made a direct-to-video sequel?
Yeah.
I had no idea, but apparently Timmy is the protagonist.
Interesting.
He's like the main character. I wonder if he has like the amulet and he's doing more magic. I don't know. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, I looked it up on Wikipedia very briefly. I was like, isn't there another one? And I thought there might be more than 2, but there is only the 2, I think. I
think they were trying to reboot this or something.
Yeah, there was something I read about that too on the Wikipedia where it was like a remake in like 2015 was supposed to happen, but never did.
Clearly didn't. It was called like the Rats in NIMH.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Which again, to me, I'm like, I guess that it was going to be a prequel.
I don't know.
You've already told the story. What's the point?
I don't know. I could see this being though, like end up being a Netflix series or something if they reboot it, like the kind of the Dark Crystal route.
I don't know. Is there a big enough audience for a reboot of Secret of NIMH?
I think people like this movie. I think people who grew up with this movie like this. I think this has some legs, but
yeah, I think 80s babies who haven't seen this in a while will probably listen to us and be like, "You guys don't know what you're talking about," and I'm like, well. Rewatch it, then come and talk. If you still like it, okay. I mean, to me, I grew up with it, and I thought I'd like it a lot more, and then I rewatched it, and I was like, this is a little boring.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, I guess my reaction to it, like if it's just a personal bias thing, or if it is something I can recommend, I don't know. But if people like it, that's great. That's fine. You can have this, but this is just not my world, so...
Well, I think this is one of these films where I can sit back and appreciate, like, the talent. I can look at it and I'm like, yeah, that's amazing animation. This movie's beautiful, but it's boring.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where I'm at, too. Like, I'm just not into it. Like, I can look at it and be like, pretty, but shiny only goes so far.
I think, yeah, there's a lot of movies, though, that I look at it like that, and I'm like, yeah, that's a really pretty movie. Yeah, you want to watch it? No, not really.
Yeah, I would never watch this again. Like, I would never buy this. Secret of NIMH.
Like,
never.
One thing, like one movie, like Lawrence of Arabia. I've had people. They're like, "Oh, you've seen that, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I've seen it. I don't ever want to watch it again, though." I'm like, I remember it being gorgeous,
but it's boring as shit.
Yeah,
I did not like that movie either. Like, it's boring. I get it. I get why it's, why it's so beloved and stuff. Like, I'm not missing the point of the movie. It's just not for me. Shit like that just bores me.
Yeah, that's sorry. That's just how I feel.
Yep. Absolutely.
And my opinion means more than you.
Yeah.
Hey-o.
That's why we have a podcast.
Kidding. Sort of, not really. But yeah. That'll end it for the week. That's all we got for it. I do find this funny because last week we did Wizards, which was all over the place, fun jazz, kind of crazy. Then you had this one, which was very, one tone going throughout it. And then next week,
we're all over the place.
Now
we're diving into the crazy.
Whoa, what's going on?
Crazy pond, yeah.
But next week will be a little bit different. It's going to be our first video. You can catch us on YouTube. I might put the audio up in Podbean, but whatever.
Might as well. Fuck it.
It won't make as much sense because we're gonna be holding the video in our hand, and we're gonna be showing clips of the show. So, but whatever. Some of you just want to ride on the train or walk and listen to us. Some of it won't make sense. You'll be fine.
Yeah, we'll have an audio option for you.
Yeah, why not? Because we're a podcast first.
Yeah.
But you're gonna get to see our faces. I hope we don't break your screens, and you're gonna have to put up with it.
Yeah, we're gonna try it out. We're gonna see. We're gonna see if you like it.
Guaranteed, it gets a lot more views than we get listens on the podcast. Guaranteed.
You think so?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Well, I mean, we have. I can't believe that we have the amount of subscribers that we have, and basically we just put a podcast up in trailers.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'll be real interested in seeing the numbers on this.
I can't wait for the comments.
And then the comments too, where we're gonna be told to go kill ourselves. Because...
Greatest comment I've ever gotten: go into a closet and shoot yourself. Why am I going in the closet?
Oh Lord, yeah, bring it on though. Let's get weird.
Hell yeah. Especially like the people where English is their second language and I can't quite tell what they're trying to say.
But they're trying to tell you to kill yourself.
Yeah. It always comes down to me being horrible Matt being horrible or kill yourself.
Yes. Pretty much.
I don't believe your life has been threatened.
Not yet.
But it will.
But we have a lot of opinions here, so eventually I'm going to strike the wrong chord.
Right on. Let's wrap it up. You can catch us on Facebook. Like I said, next week we're going to be YouTube, but you can always get us on YouTube. Podbean. Email us at analogjonestof.com. Matt will maybe reply to you.
Maybe.
If
you give me something stupid, I'm not going to do it. But if you send me something worthwhile, maybe then I will. So don't send stupid shit.
Please do.
Yeah, that's how I monitor the emails.
Right on. Remember to be kind.
And rewind.